Welcome to the Idea to Value podcast, where in every episode we highlight the latest insights into creativity and innovation from experts around the world. I'm your host, Nick Skillicorn. I care about the evidence behind what makes ideas happen, and I've already helped thousands of people just like you through my unique insights into recent scientific findings of how creativity works. I also show you how to turbocharge innovation programs so they finally deliver on the value and ideas you've been struggling to execute. Get your free training on how creativity can be improved by registering now at www.ideatovalue.com. Now let's get on with today's episode. Hello everyone and welcome to another special interview on the Idea to Value podcast. Today we've got innovation software leader Simon Hill from Wazoku. Hello Simon.
Hi Nick, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Simon, why don't you give us a little insight into what your company does?
Sure. So, as you said, I'm the chief executive founder of a software company called Wazoku. We operate in the idea management software space, and really we sell a vision to global clients that we work with, which is a bit of a challenge we call everyday innovation. And the challenge runs like this: it's how can we make innovation with a small I a part of everyone's job in every team, across every project and every interaction within your business, basically. How do we bring innovation to the lives of all of your employees, customers, clients on a daily basis?
And that's one of the reasons why I'm so keen to speak to you today. Not only do you have innovation as part of your software feature set, but it's really something that is in the DNA of not only your company, but you wanting to help the companies that you work with. And in fact, you do a lot of work outside of the software space itself. This is one of the reasons why anyone who read the recent most influential innovation blogs out there, Wazoku's blog was listed as one of the best ones out there at the moment. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of great insights from today's chat on what it actually takes to help a culture of innovation.
Yeah, nice to see us on that list, and happy to share. I think it's important, even as a software company, to make sure that we are bringing expertise to the clients that we work with, who are a real mix of organizations around the world, and to recognize that software alone isn't going to make you innovative. It's not a silver bullet. You need to be thinking bigger than that.
So you mentioned something called everyday innovation and having that as part of a company's DNA. What exactly do you mean by everyday innovation?
So I think I kind of alluded to earlier. It's that war cry for organizations, really, which is innovation's still kind of held up for many people as this sort of mythical thing that lucky people get to be involved in the business, and it brings a sparkle to people's eyes, but often it's not. I don't get to do innovation is something I hear far too much from people across businesses that we work with. And so everyday innovation is that, right? It's flipping that on its head and saying, actually, innovation's it's vital and it's the lifeblood of an organization, and we really should be making it accessible to every single person in the business who sees opportunities on a daily basis to do things that will make the business better, faster, quicker, smarter, serve customers quicker and more effectively, and ultimately achieve the business goals that the business has set itself. Innovation is that lifeblood.
And when you're talking about innovation, what exactly do you mean by it? Is it just everyone in the business being able to say, oh, I've got a suggestion for a suggestion box, or is it actually getting involved in making the change itself?
I think it's a mixture of all things. Suggestion boxes come with a bad rep, but what they were trying to achieve isn't necessarily the wrong thing. They just weren't implemented and weren't able to be implemented in the right way. I think what I mean by this, though, is that any idea that moves the business forward towards the strategic goals it sets itself can, in theory, be an innovation. And I think that's a very broad definition, but quite an important one. But what it does is it means that you get things like improvements in safety, improvements in cost savings and efficiency are as much the daily grind of innovation as the next big shiny thing that digitally transforms your business and turns you into the next Airbnb or Uber, which is the big shiny thing that all businesses want. But in reality, none of us are really set up to do that. And so we need to get that spectrum working for us across the business, and that's how we make it accessible to everybody.
Now, one of the things that you guys have been doing is, I believe you've been doing some sorts of benchmarks on how innovation's actually treated within companies. Can you tell us a bit more about what you found from there, who was involved, and what sort of findings you got?
Yeah, so look, we sell a software platform that touches all aspects of the organization. And one of the challenges we often get from businesses is how do I know that I'm ready for this? Or they're nervous that software alone isn't going to solve all their ills, which it isn't. And so we kept getting a request to what is their readiness? What is their capability from a cultural level around innovation at the moment? So we built a tool, we call it Innovation Pulse. And there are different versions of these things out there, but what we really wanted to do was build something that could get right into the fabric of the organization. So not to be completed by one or a small number of people, but let's get the real pulse of the organization, not on innovation as a thing, but on our capabilities around innovation. What we've seen across, and we've run this across global organizations from 50 people to several 100,000 people, is across the board, really, we're not scoring well, right? And I think that's probably not news to a lot of businesses, in that we've got a lot of work to do. That, we look at businesses against a benchmark that we've created, and most of them will come out as novice innovators. So people that are novice level, but they can accelerate their improvement, because what we're seeing is that businesses are often running before they can walk. And so there's a number of remedial steps that we can see, often more around communication and collaboration than specific skill sets, that will help them to quickly accelerate and get to more advanced levels of maturity quite quickly. And I think that's quite reassuring, but there are some fundamentals pretty much common across the board that businesses really need to be looking at.
And when you're talking about novice level maturity versus mature companies when it comes to innovation, how did you set those sorts of criteria of what classifies a novice versus what classifies a mature company?
So like everything we do, we use data. So a lot of this is based off of a significant amount of research, and having run these things in a fairly analog form before, and then looking to try and create a more standardized benchmark. So rather than company A running it, company B running it, company C running it, and never ever trying to cross-pollinate that learning, we took several years of having done this in a more offline survey-based world, and built it into a technology that's just applied all of that learning. So there's a lot of psychology gone into this, a lot of historical learning that's gone into it from having done it before in many, many different businesses. And it's based off of the research called Building a Culture of Innovation, written by some associates that we work with, Chris Beswick and a couple of other guys, that also digs into this, and they've done a number of things around cultural transformation, again, using similar benchmarks. So we brought all that knowledge together, and as I said, we've been deploying it out now for the last, coming up to a year. We've got a strong data set, and we continue to build into that benchmark. So not only is it against our pillars of novice, apprentice, et cetera, up to everyday innovator, but also you can see the wider world picture. So how do you stack up versus your competitors, versus the others in similar industries, or others even different industries even as well. And that helps to the fact that most of the world of novice is perhaps not that new. The fact that you're X, Y, or Z in the different pillars of innovation is probably quite useful for organizations. It also gives you a tangible set of next steps. So for many businesses, the fact that we can give them the 5 quick next steps is a lot more powerful than just knowing you've got something to do. And I think that's often a big challenge for organizations is, you've got the problem, but how the hell do I address it?
I think it's something that a lot of companies really struggle with, especially as you said, they don't know how they compare to other companies. So they might have this whole innovation department that they've built up over the last couple of decades without any real understanding of how it works compared to a tech company or a pharmaceutical company or a government agency. There's not really much clarity on how you're actually performing, especially when it comes to something as intangible as working on products that haven't been released yet. So I think these sorts of benchmarks are actually vital for companies to see how they are compared to not only where they want to be, but where they might be compared to other companies.
Yeah, and I think it goes a little bit deeper than that as well. So if you look at this from a we have an innovation team, that's great, right? It's great that businesses put innovation in everything they do, but also they need to help use the tools and the skills that innovation teams have to drive innovation at a more organic level across all different bits of the business, and make that the great work that the innovation team can do that with a limited pair of hands and a specific strategic remit, and start to apply that into the other everyday business as usual activities that are happening in the organization. And you've seen good language around this drip into the organization, things like agile, design thinking, and everything else. There's lots of language that have come in that starts to shape into the way that we run projects in customer service centers, in technology language. But I think it needs to be wrapped up now into a culture of innovation message that actually is understood by people. So you don't get all these stats of, the surveys that we've run that say 3/4 of people in an organization have no idea what innovation means in their business, don't feel like it can access it. Well, that's not a culture of everyday innovation, right? That is there's a small team over there that do innovation, and great ideas don't walk out the door every day just because they weren't in the innovation team and they weren't therefore asked for those ideas.
How does a company actually use a software system to improve their ability to get value out of innovation? So what does Wazoku as a platform actually do?
So it's a great question, right? And I think there are lots of different versions of the types of things that we offer out there. What's quite important around this is that unlike many things that we'll do in our business lives, I think to date we've treated innovation, which we hold with great esteem up here, we've treated it with very little respect. And what I mean by that is that our customer data has been given a specialist system like a CRM, and we handle customer data, we process it through these workflows that we call sales cycles. Ideas and innovation are just as important a lifeblood, and yet we've never really invested in specialist technology to recognize that little acorn of an idea that starts in someone's mind that needs to bring together great minds to work on it and to challenge it and to either feedback and say, well, it's going to go nowhere, give it a chance to percolate and give it a chance to find its strategic imperative in the organization. So specialist tools like the Wazoku Idea Spotlight tool have come to the market to really help be that sort of specialist workflow engine, that home for ideas for an organization. So for our clients, and we work with, to provide a home and a structured process for all ideas across the organization, which means that you can target those ideas against the specific strategic challenges the organization is facing. So that question you asked me earlier about the suggestion box, how do we turn the suggestion box on its head and get beyond any idea for anything that's got no structure and strategy behind it, and actually start with the problem that we're trying to tackle, start with the strategic imperative that it is we're looking to do, then reach out to our organization and ask the brilliant minds that work for us to come and help us to not just give us ideas, but to co-create the best solutions, and that's how you drive real innovation in organizations. It also changes culture, it makes you more open, it makes you more willing to collaborate, and it drives that strategic imperative, at the end of which is an outcome you needed as a business. You're not innovating for the sake of innovating, you're innovating because the business needed those solutions to help it drive it towards a strategic goal. Software gives you the structure and the ability to do that at scale. It also gives you the ability to do it in a capacity that can measure. So I can tell you what engagement you're getting, what volume of ideas you're getting, which ideas you chose not to do for whatever strategic reason, what value you got through the ideas that you did do, and a number of other softer metrics that wrap around that as well. From a talent perspective, from a reward recognition perspective, and from a valuable output perspective in terms of innovation. And so quantifying that, qualifying it, and making the best decisions for the business is really what the software is all about.
And then finally, you've been running this system with a couple of very successful companies, some of the largest UK companies that people will have heard of. What has been the impact on the people within those organizations on how they feel they're involved with innovation since programs like this come into play? Have you got any data on how it affects the people within companies?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fundamentally why I started this business, right? We having been seasoned consultants in the past and worked in very hierarchical organizations, for me, innovation needs to be the least hierarchical thing you can do, especially in an age where probably the best people, especially when you look at technology and the technology skills in your organization, the pyramid's flipped, right? The skills sit at the bottom of the business and in the middle of the business, not at the top. And so, we've seen amazing job mobility. We've seen people that have had great ideas that started in a finance function, but actually really had great ideas that were great in a marketing function move around. The BBC, a client of ours, and we've seen people come from very back office functions to working on the new television shows that they created that were their brainchild, that would never have had an output for those and a medium to get those into the domain before. Equally now, we're starting to do more in the public domain, and so looking at helping organizations not just drive innovation and talent within their organizations, but actually starting to co-create with customers as well. And I think for marketing departments and corporate social responsibility departments to start thinking not just about how do I get a little bit of data and ask my customers to do surveys and together is going to be the sort of next manifestation of the work that we're doing more and more within those other departments and organizations. So seeing the innovation conversation start to percolate into the external world around open innovation and co-creation with customers, partners, suppliers as well.
Simon, it's been a pleasure. If people want to find out a bit more about everyday innovation and about the Wazoku system, where can they go to find out more?
I just go to our website, which is just wazoku.com, and lots of resources on there. Look for everything around everyday innovation.
Perfect. We'll make sure to link everything in the description below. And Simon, I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thanks, Nick.
Today's episode was made possible by members of our premium Deep Creativity Training program. For less than the price of half a candy bar per day, you too can get world-exclusive daily exercises which push your creativity past its comfort barrier to make you better able to generate ideas in all aspects of your life and work. Invest in yourself now by going to www.ideatovalue.com/deepcreativity and using coupon code PODCAST for 25% off your first order. And don't forget that if you found this episode interesting, to like and share it, and to leave us a review in your favorite podcast player. See you again in the next episode.